Back to some breaking news, everyone. New information coming out of this East Side Daycare Center. Let's go right back to Jadion Thompson.
Right, Mark. So what I want to do is show you what's happening right now on the scene. If you can see over my shoulder, they are just pulling this gray Range Rover out of the daycare. If you've been following our continuing coverage, you know that about 1 o'clock today, police got word that 2 vehicles had slammed into a daycare, sending 3 children to the hospital, and the driver of that car also to the hospital. So what we've been doing is listening in and seeing what police know. What we can tell you right now is that we don't know the conditions of those children or that driver that are in the hospital, but they've been working for the last couple of hours to clear this scene, and they finally are getting this SUV out of the building. They're going to try to haul it away, and then next comes the other vehicle that's completely emerged inside of the building, this Cadillac sedan that's also inside there that will probably have to come out next. For now, you can see live on the scene right now this SUV coming out of the building that they're going to tow away. And this is at Christian Academy. We're just west of Interstate 70 on 27th Street, where there were some 40 children inside this daycare this afternoon when this unexpectedly happened. Police tell us that the driver of that SUV plowed into another parked car, sending both of them into the daycare. I mean, and just that one car is completely immersed inside the side of this building. Although it does look like an older building and not incredibly structurally sound, there's still a really hard impact. And we're told that first vehicle, that Cadillac that's right there inside the building, was probably about 100 feet down the road when that SUV slammed into it, pushing both of them inside the daycare. So a really unfortunate situation that the daycare and those children inside were the victims of this situation. We still don't know any idea why that driver hit that other car, but we'll continue to follow the story for you and bring you all the updates as soon as we get them live here from the scene. Mark, back to you.
Hey, Jadion, I know you were having a little trouble hearing me before. Can you hear me okay now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the structural integrity of the building. I know firefighters were concerned with that because it's a wood frame structure, and it looks like they've been putting some support beams in to hold it in place while they continue to work inside there. What can you tell me about that?
Well, I can tell you that you're exactly right. I mean, when we take another look at it, I mean, this building, although we don't know exactly when it was built, it looks really old, and it looks like they did have to even support some of it to just bring these vehicles out of it. But although police did tell us that just because of the sheer impact, that obviously compromised the structural integrity of the building because of how fast these cars went into the building and just how much damage it does to send 2 cars careening through the outside of a building. So that obviously is an issue, and we'll see after all of this what happens next for this building. But I'd be willing to guess that there will not be a daycare operating in that structure for some time to come. And then, you know, like you said, Mark, I mean, it's pretty clear just to see how bad the damage is live right here from the scene. I mean, nothing's more telling than the images that you can see behind me right now, just how bad this is.
Yeah, we're looking at some pictures as well, Jadion, of seeing pictures around you on the street there. We saw a utility pole just knocked out of the ground, bent over on its side. You can tell the force of which this this individual drove down that street and you know, hit things. It looks like several other things along the way as that Cadillac went into the building there. We're looking at pictures right now of the SUV still inside the building. Jadion, I know you've been on scene for some time. Have you been able to see any parents? I know parents were quite upset when the news first hit. They came down. There's some quite upset. Were you any? I know some of our crews who are out at the perimeter talked to them. Did you have the chance to speak with anyone?
Yeah, there were a couple of parents here who just told some of our crews, like you said, Mark, that, you know, they were obviously really upset about the situation, and they were getting their children were safe. So clearly really relieved that their children were okay, but their heart just goes out to everyone else involved in this as we try to wait patiently for the condition of these other children. We understand that 2 of them, at least 2 of them, were pinned underneath that Cadillac when it went into the side of this daycare. So that's just really a frightening situation that, you know, everyone's heart goes out to them. Now, on that note, there is a phone number that we have for you that parents can call, Mark, if they are concerned about their children, and relatives can call if they're concerned about possibly one of their relatives being at that daycare. So I want to give you that number. I apologize. I have to grab my notes really fast for the number. And I believe we have something up on our screen for you. That number is 913-208-96 496. So you can call that number, or police and fire officials just told me that you could also come here to the scene. There's a little area set aside with emergency crews available for relatives or parents to talk to someone to see what's going on with their children and where their children may be. But I know that police have been working very diligently to make sure that all children are accounted for on this scene. And Mark, you brought up a point earlier about the down power lines and the other things along the path of this crash. As we were arriving to the scene a little over an hour ago, we actually ran into someone who was walking away and said that his power went out. He heard a loud boom, and that's what made him run up the street to see what was going on. He was one of the first people here, and he told us that he was a few blocks away and his power went out, because there is a large power pole just a little over to the right of this building that's down right now, completely basically snapped in half. And so that obviously has lended to power outages to probably a couple of blocks of a perimeter around the daycare right now. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different people that are affected by this right now, but at the heart of all of this, everyone's just worried about the victims.
Yeah, that's the good news as we continue to update for those who might be joining us that, as you said, Jody, 2 kids were pinned underneath the vehicle when it went through the front, but 3 kids in all injured.
Right.
We understand they sustained moderate injuries. We're told they're non-life-threatening. That is the good news as we look at these very dramatic pictures. I want to see if your photographer could show us again the front of the daycare center, because now that the SUV's gone, we can see the back of the Cadillac there, which is quite dramatic when you look at just the impact that the back of that car took. The trunk smashed up in there, the back of the car smashed in. So we can see, Jadian, I know you were talking with police and firefighters that the driver in his 80s somehow hit this parked car and pushed it. How far did you say down the street into the daycare center?
Yeah, Mark, I'm going to sit back in front of the shot here, but you can, like you said, see what's going on with that Cadillac. So what happened is, okay, pardon me, I'm going to let you see this. The preliminary reports were that this car was sitting in front of the daycare. But just a few minutes ago, we got another update. As in situations like this unfold, oftentimes the information continues to evolve. And what we know now is that that car was parked on the side of the street. Please don't know exactly how far away, but probably about 100 feet down the street, Mark. And as you can see, like you said, from the damage, the back of that car, when this SUV hit it from what looks like to be the back, that was a really hard hit to smash it up that bad and then get it over the curb and then push it through the building. We don't know how fast the car was going. We asked police if they could tell us, and they just have no indication of that right now, because obviously it's really early in the investigation phase. But you can just see from the pictures that it was a pretty powerful hit from behind that was able to propel that car all the way into the building. Although that SUV wasn't completely immersed in the building, it was, the nose of it at least was inside the front of the building too, Mark. So, you know, it's going to be interesting to find out exactly what happened here.
Yeah, I think the hard thing, people might wonder why we're staying on this so long. It's different. Cars go into buildings all the time. The fact that it was a children's daycare center, when you look, as we were just looking inside, your photographer was showing us the close-up look, you see those tiny little blue chairs, the pint-sized chairs that kids sit in the classroom when they're preschool age, and you see that, and it just really, hurts your heart knowing that these kids were in there probably having their normal activities in the afternoon. This happened about 1:15. Might have had nap time after lunch, we don't know. But, kids are in there going about their business, doing the normal things they do in a daycare center, and have a car come right through the front of it and pin 2 of them, injuring 3 in all. That's the upsetting thing.
It's a devastating situation, Mark. It really is, and it's really unfortunate that it happened in front of a daycare. I mean, this is one of those stories where you just kind of want to sit back and go, why this situation, and why did this have to happen?
And we've got some pictures of the before and after. We're going to try to put those together for you here. We can show you a picture that we have gathered online from Google Maps. We've got that we'll put up there, and then we'll try to do a side-by-side comparison. It's a small wooden structured frame building. It's a blue greenish facade that we saw. Christian Academy Daycare. You can see the picture there on your left. This is what it looked like before, and then obviously on the right you see what it looks like now after a car went right through. And the fact that there's no parking in front, it's not like the car was angled and parked facing into the buildings we see in some shopping centers or some parts of a downtown Main Street. This car was pushed down the street, and it had to get an angle to go up the curb and sideways into the front of that building. And that's how it ended up there, as we saw there. We will continue to stay on top of this. We've had news crews down on the scene. We've got crews at the hospital getting information on the 3 children, as well as the driver of the SUV that started this all. We'll have all of this continue to come to you on our news coming up on 41 Action News at 4 o'clock. And as well as right away, as soon as information is updated, we'll have it on our website, kshb.com. For now, Mark Clegg, 41 Action News.